Okay, next up is section DMA 33.5. Today we're going to look at the metric units of measurement. In this video we'll talk about the different metric prefixes as well as the bases for length, capacity, and mass. We'll see how to convert by moving the decimal, and additionally how to convert by using a conversion factor. Now personally I think converting by moving the decimal is easier, but for parts of your homework, or if you ever find yourself in something like a chemistry class, you may find that converting by using a conversion factor is necessary. So here's a table of the different metric prefixes. Let's start in the middle here with the base unit. So the base unit is going to be for length, the meter, abbreviated M. For mass, it's going to be the gram, abbreviated with a G. And for capacity, or volume, it's the liter, abbreviated with an uppercase L. So the base is what happens in the middle here. And as we get smaller, we go down the list. We have deci, centi, and milli, and we just put that prefix in front of the base unit. So it might be decimeter, or decigram, or deciliter, centigram, milligram, etc. As we go to the left from the base, these units get bigger. So we have the decagram, or maybe the hectoliter, or the kilometer. So we always start at the base and we move either, we get smaller units or we get bigger units as we move to the left. And a good way to remember these different metric prefixes is the phrase, King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk. If you can remember that phrase, you'll remember the first letter and the abbreviations for all the different metric prefixes. So K is the kilo, H is the hecto, this first D is the deca, B is the base unit, the second D is deci, C is centi, and M is milli. Now for this class, you're not going to have these memorized. For your test and your quiz, you'll be given a table to help you with your conversions for the metric system. It should be posted in your Blackboard course site, but if it's not, ask your instructor so you'll know what you'll have and be better prepared for your quiz and your exam. Now, let's talk about how to convert by moving the decimal. The first thing that you're going to do is choose your starting and ending points. So let's imagine that we're going from, let's say, gram, which would be here, to centigram. So our starting place is going to be here in the middle at the base, because gram is the base unit. Then we need to count how many spaces we need to move from the starting point to get to the ending point. So in this case, we're going to move 2 spaces to the right to get from the base unit to centi. Okay. Now, you take the decimal and your original number or quantity that you're starting with, and you move that decimal that many spaces in the same direction as you did on the table. Now note, if you're starting with a whole number, that decimal is going to be implied to be after the ones place. Let's take a look at this in action. Alright, here's some example problems. Our first example is we're going to convert 5.3 meters to millimeters. Okay, so we're going to start here at the base unit, because meters was one of our base units, and we're going to go to milli, so we're moving to the right 1, 2, 3 spaces to the right. Okay, we're going to take our original number, 5.3, and we're going to move the decimal that many spaces in the same direction, so 3 spaces to the right. And that's where our new decimal is going to be. And those empty spaces, we're going to put 0 placeholders. Okay, so 5.3 meters is going to equal 5,300 millimeters. In our second example, we're going to go from 5 milliliters to liters. So we're going to start here at milli, and this time we're going 1, 2, 3 units to the left to get to the base, or liters. Okay, so with our original number 5, remember that the decimal place is implied to be here to the right of the ones place. And now we'll move our decimal 1, 2, 3 units to the left, and we'll put in 0 placeholders. So 5 milliliters is going to equal 0.005 or 5,000ths liters. Okay, so this is a lot easier to convert within the metric system than the English system. That's why most of the rest of the world uses it, and why we use it most often in science classes, is because it's just, since we're moving just by a power of 10, we can just move the decimal place and do our conversions. Now we're going to look at converting by using a conversion factor. This is similar to what we did in the last section when we were converting in the English system of measurements. So we're going to start by locating our starting and ending points. Let's say we're going from the deca to the base, or excuse me, to the kilo. The leftmost unit is going to be 1. Okay, and the rightmost unit, every space we go over, we're going to add a 0. So this would be 10, this would be 100. Okay, so what does that mean? 1, let's say kilometer, is equal to 100 decameters. Or in the example that I have listed here, if we're going from hecto to centi, we would start with 1, 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000. So, whoops, I had a little typo here. 1 hectometer is going to equal 10,000 centimeters. Okay, so once we have that conversion factor, we're going to multiply our original quantity by the fractional conversion factor like we did in 3.4. Now let's use that new method in action. For that first example, convert 3,000 milligrams to grams. So we're going to start, our starting points are going to be grams and milligrams. Okay, the grams, the base is 1, then we have 10, 100, and then 1,000. So we know that we have our conversion factor 1 gram equals 1,000 milligrams. Okay, we're going to take our starting unit, our starting number, we have 3,000 milligrams, and write that over 1, and then multiply with our conversion factor, making sure that milligrams is on the bottom so it cancels with the milligrams on the top. So we'll have 1,000 on the bottom and 1 gram on the top. Milligrams and milligrams will cancel. So when we multiply it across the top, we get 3,000 grams divided by 1,000 grams, or 1,000 without a unit, I apologize, and 3,000 divided by 1,000 is going to give us 3 grams. So 3,000 milligrams is equal to 3 grams. Now for example 2, we're going to start with kiloliters and go all the way to milliliters. So that's 1, 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, 1 million. We add a 0 each time. So our conversion factor is 1 kiloliter equals 1,000,000 milliliters. Alright, we'll start with our initial quantity, 0.2 kiloliters over 1, and then multiply. We need the 1 kiloliter on the bottom, and then the million milliliters on the top. Kiloliters and kiloliters will cancel, and then we'll multiply. You can plug this into a calculator. 0.2 times 1,000,000 is going to be 200,000 milliliters. So, to review in section 3.5, we talked about the metric prefixes and bases, how to convert by moving the decimal, which is probably the easier of the two ways, but we continued to talk about how to convert by using a power of 10, or a conversion factor. In the next section, section 3.6, we're going to talk about how we can convert between the English and the metric systems. We'll see you then.